Today, I'm going to go over the minimum investment requirements for the EB5 Immigrant Investor Program. My name is Farah Abbas, and I'm an immigration attorney. Today, I'm going to go over the minimum investment requirements for the EB5 Immigrant Investor Program. Now, if you look it up online, you can certainly find a lot of information that shows varying investment amounts for the EB5 program, and that can be confusing. This is because the rules for EB5 have changed a few times over the last few years. So as of now, July 2024, the minimum amount that must be invested to apply for an EB5 green card is $800,000 US if you meet certain qualifications. Otherwise, the minimum amount that is required is at least $1,050,000 US. Now, most people are going to want to know, how can you apply at the $800,000 level? So to be eligible for this reduced investment, the project or business that you select must be located in a targeted employment area, or TEA, or it must be an infrastructure project. So let's break this down and see what all of these terms mean. So an area qualifies as a TEA, first of all, if it has a high unemployment rate as compared to the national average, or if it is in a rural area. So these TEAs can help direct more investment dollars to areas around the United States that are particularly in need to encourage economic growth and employment opportunities. So let's start with a rural TEA first. A rural TEA is an area that is not located in a metropolitan statistical area as designated by the federal government. It's also not located in a town with a population of 20,000 or more. So an EB5 project developer or an individual EB5 investor, with their initial I-526 petition, they must provide current location and population data to show if that investment qualifies as a rural TEA. What about a high unemployment TEA? So a high unemployment TEA is actually designated by USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service, as having a high unemployment rate of at least 150% the national average. So the investment must be in either a single census tract or in a census tract along with other adjacent census tracts where the weighted average unemployment rate of that group meets the 150% threshold. Finally, let's talk about the infrastructure project. So aside from being in a high unemployment or a rural TEA, your investment can qualify at the $800,000 level if your funds go towards an infrastructure project. Infrastructure project is going to be administered by a federal, state, or local government entity. So the government would be receiving the investment funds to either help maintain, improve, or build a public works project. The Secretary of Homeland Security, the individual that is designated, determine whether a project is going to meet this definition, an infrastructure project. So why is all of this important? First, of course, you can get the benefit applying at the reduced investment of $800,000. But there's more benefits to investing in a TEA or an infrastructure project. Now, overall, every fiscal year, there are 10,000 EB5 visas that are granted. That 10,000 includes the EB5 investor, their spouse, and also their unmarried children under the age of 21 that are all immigrating to the United States. But these 10,000 visas are not just generally available to each and every EB5 investor. Instead, there are certain set-aside categories within that 10,000. 20% of all EB5 visas are allocated to investors in rural areas. 10% are set aside for investors in high unemployment areas. 2% are for investors in infrastructure projects. So with these set-aside categories, your investment qualifies. Your EB5 petition is going to be reviewed faster than an investment that does not qualify. And more so, The set-aside categories were created with the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act that was passed in March 2022. So they're relatively new. This means that countries that are very backlogged for a general EB-5 visa, like China and like India, they currently are not going to have a backlog in the set-aside categories. So if you're a Chinese-born EB-5 investor or you're an Indian-born EB-5 investor, you can now experience a much quicker processing timeline to receive your green card, like any other EB-5 investor, if you choose a rural EB-5 investment project. I hope this video has been helpful in explaining the minimum investment amount for the EB-5 program and some of the associated benefits. Thank you for watching.